Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the City Life Project YouTube channel for yet another predictions video. This time, UFC 285. That's right, one of the biggest pay-per-views of 2023 yet. Ciryl Gane against Jon Jones. Let's not waste any time. We're going to cover the first fight, starting from the early prelims all the way to the main event. So stick around to hear my prediction for the main event of the evening, and let's get right into it. Esteban Robivic against Loic Radzhabov. Esteban Robivic out of Argentina, 11 wins, 0 losses. He is undefeated, 26 years of age, 6 KO, TKO, 5 submissions. Like we said, folks, he's coming off Contender Series, had a great showing on Contender Series, beating Thomas Paul. Mostly competed on FFC, UFS, and yeah, I guess that's the majority, is the young Esteban Robivic. His opponent, Loic Radzhabov, out of Tajikistan, 16 wins, 4 losses, 7 KO, TKO, 5 submissions, 4 decisions. He's 32 years of age. He also had 1 draw. Making his UFC debut upon having a decent run in the PFL. He actually took on some decent opponents in the PFL. Don't let all these losses fool you. He was actually competitive in a lot of these fights. As you can see, split decision, and he was able to finish opponents, damn good opponents, like that of an Aliev. For the first fight on the card, and again, from the early prelims all the way to the main event, this card is tremendous, folks. I'm going with Radzhabov. Now, I know he's the favorite, despite taking this fight on short notice. He's more experienced. Though his opponent is undefeated, he's not fought the best guys on the come-up. Like his Contender Series fight, his opponent in that fight was a pretty talented MMA fighter, but let's be honest, spent most of his time in meh promotions. Radzhabov cannot be finished, folks. He's never been finished. PFL fighter, taking on some great opponents in the PFL, like I said. Not the best PFL record, like I said, but folks, the experience that he has over his opponent, the fact that he hits way harder, can't be finished, despite him coming off short notice. Hell, despite him being the favorite as well, I think it's the right pick, the best pick, and I'm going with that Loic Radzhabov for my first pick. On to the next one. Damon Blackshear against Farid Basharat. The monster, Damon Blackshear, 12 wins, 4 losses, 28 years of age. He has 1 KO, TKO, 8 submission, and 3 decision, 1 draw. Training out of a really good gym in Jackson. Wink. He had a draw in his last fight in the UFC, his first ever fight in the UFC against Yusuf Zalal. Before then, a respectable career in CES and Cage Fury FC. He had some time in Bellator. I mean, honestly, if you look at his experience here, he's actually fought in some pretty damn good promotions. On the come up, regional, then boom, a little CES, little Cage Fury, leveled up to Bellator, back to CES and Cage Fury, 3-fight win streak in Cage Fury, 2 submissions before entering the UFC. Looking at his opponent, one of the 2 Basharat brothers, 25 years of age, 9 wins, 0 losses. He is undefeated, 1 KO, TKO, 5 submission, 3 decision. Again, he is undefeated. He looked tremendous, just like his brother on Contender Series. Octagon MMA is a great promotion, folks. I know some of his competition is not the best. However, he's a Basharat, so you can't count him out, and he's undefeated, and he's the huge favorite going into this one. You kind of heard it in my breakdown there. I can't pick against a Basharat. These brothers are awesome. They're so good. I mean, we got the Bonfim brothers in the UFC and the Basharat brothers. This is unbelievable. I'm going with Farid. Look, Damon is good. Only lost to solid fighters, which I think is very notable about Farid Basharat's opponent. However, Basharat is such a good fighter, and he's just that, a solid fighter. Technical, smart, so clean in his technique. Again, he hasn't beaten the best guys. However, if he's anything like his brother, if he's anything like his training partners, which I believe that he is, this should be a walk in the park. I mean, he looks so similar to his brother's fighting style. An absolute dominant performance on Dana White's Contender Series. And again, if he's anything like his brother, which I honestly think he is, he's going to be an absolute wrecking ball in the UFC. We got the Bonfim brothers and the Basharat brothers. I'm going with Farid. That is my pick. Locking it in. It is the card of the Simps, ladies and gentlemen. It is the card of the Simps. Tabitha Ricci against Jessica Penne. Jessica Penne, 40 years of age, 14 wins, 6 losses, 2 KO, TKO, 8 submissions, 4 decisions. At the age of 40, she's still getting it done against some decent opponents. If you look at the women she's lost to, I mean, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Jessica Andrade, Danielle Taylor, has some wins against Karolina Volkevich and Lupita Godinez, which those are some solid wins. Solid career, both in Invicta and the UFC, as well as Bellator Fighting Championship and Action Fight League, amongst others. Definitely found her footing in Invicta, and again, has had a respectable UFC career where she's been in the promotion since 2015. Looking at her opponent, Tabitha Ricci, Baby Shark, 7 wins, 1 loss, 28 years of age, 1 KO, TKO, 2 submission, 4 decision. She had an absolute unbelievable fight in her last win against Poliana Viana. I almost thought she was going to finish that fight, folks. I almost thought she was going to finish that fight. Though she is absolutely tremendous on the ground, in this win against Viana, she showed that she has really good striking as well, and that it has come a long way. She's on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC, and her only loss was to top contender Manon Fiorot. Solid career in LFA, was riding a 3-fight win streak in LFA before getting her first fight in the UFC again against Fiorot. She's come back strong, 2 wins, yes, 2 unanimous decisions, but again, that last fight against Poliana Viana, she absolutely dominated. Some of the spinning kicks she threw, swoon. I'm going with Baby Shark, Tabitha Ricci. She's sick. Again, I thought she only really had a ground game, and that was what she leaned on the most, her grappling, her clinch work, her takedown defense, and takedowns in her own right. Again, she's really good in the clinch. I didn't know that her striking leveled up, and she proved that in her last fight. Much younger as well. Penna is 40. Again, Penna is 40 years of age. Ricci's 28 years old. I know there's some elite athletes at the age of 40 who still dominate, but I'm sorry. When you're on the come up and you look as good as Ricci does, I gotta give the edge to her in this one. Pieced up Viana and only lost to Fiorot. I mean, enough said. I'm going with Baby Shark, Tabitha Ricci. On to the next one. Leo Mana Martinez against Cameron Saman. Mana boy, Leo Mana Martinez, out of Houston, Texas, 26 years of age, 10 wins, 3 losses, 8 KO, TKO, 0 submission, 2 submissions. So you know how this guy wants to attack his opponent. He's going for the finish, folks. He's going for the finish. He's coming off a win against Brandon Davis. Before then, lost to Ronnie Lawrence via unanimous decision. Was on a 3-fight win streak before that in Fury FC, as well as winning his UFC debut against Guido Kennedy. He actually lost on Dana White's Contender Series back in 2020, did not earn a contract, went back to Fury FC, was able to earn the respect of the UFC again after that. Again, Fury FC is a solid promotion. He spent time in LFA before that, so a great developmental career for the young Martinez, and it's a good matchup against the young Cameron Saman, who's 22 years of age, the pride of South Africa, 7-0, ladies and gentlemen. He was born in 2000, 5 KO, TKO, 1 submission, 1 decision. He won his last fight in his UFC debut via TKO. He had a very impressive KO on Dana White's Contender Series against Josh Wang Kim in the summer of 2022. And then before then, predominantly only fought in EFC. He'd have a 3-fight amateur career, which he won all 3 of those as well. Again, he's undefeated, and it's going to be fun to see both of these prospects duke it out. Who am I going for? I'm going for the pride of South Africa, Cameron Saman. Now, I know he has solid striking all around. Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing. He looks very, very good on his feet. Like I said, impressive Dana White Contender Series win. Impressive win in his UFC debut as well, even though his opponent took that fight on short notice. Only really one notable can on the come up in his developmental rise to the UFC. Very talented in every area. He's a very underrated grappler as well. He's kind of a student under Dricus du Plessis. Dricus du Plessis kind of has taken him under his wing. They train together, same camp, same team, and it's really cool to see two South Africans on this card. So talented, like I said. Good amateur experience. Martinez is good, don't get me wrong, and Martinez maybe could upset the favorite here in Cameron Saaiman because he has power in his punches. However, Saaiman's got good power as well for a 135er, and I think he puts Martinez away, either TKO or out-grapples him, dominates him up against the cage, taking him down, smothering him from the top position. Again, underrated grappler and just all-around great striker. I'm going with Cameron Saaiman, the young pride of South Africa. That is my pick. Next, we have Ian Garry against Kenan Song. My apologies, Ian Machado Garry, the future, out of Dublin, Ireland. He's 25 years of age, 10 wins, 0 losses, and he's a big welterweight, folks, standing at 6'3". 5 KO, TKO, 1 submission, and 4 decisions, and he trains out of an amazing gym, Killcliff FC. He won his last 3 UFC fights, had a great debut against Jordan Williams at UFC 268. Kind of, I don't want to say regressed, but didn't have the best performance against Darian Weeks in his second UFC fight, but came right back and dominated Gabriel Green for a clear unanimous decision at UFC 276, riding a 3-fight win streak in the UFC. Before that, had a tremendous career in Cage Wars. Again, he's undefeated, so like obviously his career is tremendous. But Cage Wars, a great developmental league, a great feeder to the UFC. I mean, we've seen so many solid fighters in Conor McGregor, Paddy Pimblett, just to name 2 off the top of my head, come from Cage Wars. There's so many more, folks. And Ian Garry could be that next great thing coming out of that promotion. Looking at his opponent, the assassin out of China, Kenan Song, 32 years of age and 19 wins, 6 losses, 9 KO, TKO, 8 submission, 2 decision, fighting out of Jackson Wink MMA. He's had a long and pretty good career, to be perfectly honest. His last fight was a loss against Max Griffin. Before then was on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC. Lost to Alex Moreno in 2018. No shame there. Alex Moreno is a solid fighter. Again, not a bad UFC career. Not a bad UFC career at all. Upon entering the UFC in 2017, a 2-fight win streak. Lost to Moreno, 2-fight win streak again, and has recently lost to Max Griffin. He's not that active, though. That is the biggest thing. But hey, has actually fought in some decent developmental promotions in and outside of China. And he came in to MMA, guns a-blazing, as you can see his win streak here. For this one, I'm going with Ian Garry. I am going with Ian Garry. I think that in his second fight in the UFC, yes, it was a challenge for him. It was a challenge for him. I don't think it was a bad decision by any means. I totally think that he deserved that win. And he proved it to me coming back in his third fight in the UFC and absolutely dominating. Kenan Song is not a bad fighter by any means. However, he is getting older. He is getting a little chinny. I mean, his last fight, he lost via KO. I think Ian Garry is more active, is a legit prospect. He keeps getting better and better. Great gym, like I said. Unbelievable training partners. I mean, this guy gets to spar with the likes of a Gilbert Burns on the daily. That is amazing. He's impressed me. I think he's continuing to level up. He's only 25 years old. The future is bright for Ian Garry, and I'm very excited to see him fight this weekend. I'm going with Ian Garry. That is my pick. Next, we have Julian Marquez against Marc-Andre Barriault. Julian Marquez, whose nickname is not really a nickname. His nickname has more words in it than his actual name, but the Cuban Missile Crisis. Julian Marquez out of Kansas City, Missouri. 32 years of age, 9 wins, 3 losses, 6 KO, TKO, 3 submissions. He lost his last fight to RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez, and before then was on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC. Yes, one of those was to Smiling Sam Alvey. And a solid win against Phil Hawes on Dana White's Contender Series, Season 1 back in 2017. He's fought in LFA, Combate Americas, even a little stint in Bellator. 3 fights on the regional scene as well. 3 fights on the amateur scene as well, where he won all 3 of them. All of them finishes as well. He likes to finish his opponent, folks. He even beat Matt Hamill in Combate Americas. The only fighter to ever beat John Jones, I should say. Anyways, moving to Power Bar, Marc-Andre Barriault out of Gatineau, Quebec, Canada. 33 years of age, 14 wins, 6 losses, 1 no contest. 9 KO, TKO, 1 submission, 4 decision, fighting out of Sanford MMA. That's right, he moved out of Canada to Florida, where he resides today. He lost his last fight to Anthony Hernandez via triangle choke, before then beat Jordan Wright, lost to Chidi Nkwani, had a 2-fight win streak before then in the UFC. He's lost to really good opponents in Jung Young Park. I love Jung Young Park. Christoph Jotko, Andrew Sanchez. And I think that's a credit to him and why he's still around in the UFC, because usually when you get signed to the UFC and you go on a 3-fight losing streak, you get your ass cut. But the UFC knows that this guy is an absolute wrecking ball, which is why they kept him around. Primarily developed in Canada, where as you can see here, a lot of his first pro MMA fights, he would finish his opponents. Look, folks, I bet against the Canadian last week. And it fucking burned me. So we're going with Marc-Andre Barriault. Oh, Canada. That's right. We're going with the Canadian Marc-Andre Barriault. He's actually the favorite at -125 last time I checked. At the time of this recording anyways, he is a tough freaking cookie. Great grappler, solid striker, trains in the United States now with a great team. Look, his UFC career, up and down, but his record, like we said, does not reflect his ability as a fighter. He is so tough to fight, and if you rewatch any of the fights, wins or losses, he is in every single fight. He is pushing the pace, making it so hard for his opponents. And hell, has even answered the bell, banged up and injured, and still goes out there and looks like an absolute warrior. I'm not pumping his tires just because he's Canadian. Trust me, no bias here whatsoever, despite the flag that I got wrapped around my neck. He's taken out and beaten up some scary boys, both in the UFC and on the come up. I think this is a very good matchup for him. He will put on a fast pace, and I don't know if his opponent will be able to keep up, last, or be able to match the strength and just dog that Barriault brings to the table. I'm going with the Canadian. We're going with Marc-Andre Barriault. Lock it in. Next, we have Viviane Araujo against Amanda Ribas. Viviane Araujo out of Brazil, 36 years old, 11 wins, 4 losses, 3 KO, TKO, 4 submissions, 4 decisions. So a very balanced fighter. She lost her last fight to the current title contender in Alexa Grasso, before then beat Andrea Lee. Lost to Caitlin Chukagian, beat Roxanne Modafferi and Montana De La Rosa back in 2020. Look, no shame in losing to Jessica I, Caitlin Chukagian, and Alexa Grasso. She only lost to really solid opponents in her UFC career, and she developed an IFC as well as Pancrase, Jungle Fight as well. I mean, I love all 3 of those leagues, and I'm actually very excited to see her fight on Saturday. Her opponent, also from Brazil, Amanda Ribas, 10 wins, 3 losses. She's 29 years of age, 2 KO, TKO, 4 submission, 4 decision. She also lost to Caitlin Chukagian in her last fight. She beat Viviane Jandiroba back in October of 2021. Lost to Marina Rodriguez, and before then had an impressive win streak in the UFC, going 4-0 before suffering her first loss in the promotion. As you can see here, has only finished one of her opponents only finished 2 of her opponents, I should say, in the UFC. Paige Van Zandt via armbar, and Emily Whitmere to rear naked choke. She also developed in Jungle Fight. Again, I like Jungle Fight. I'm not as familiar with Pentagon Combat 20 or Max Fight. But again, a solid female fighter with only 3 losses on her record. I'm going with Amanda Ribas for this one. This one is actually a tough pick. One of the tougher picks on this card. Both of these women are good. Both of these women are good. Ribas showed great potential in her last fight against Chukadian. Good wins, like I said, on the come up as she developed before entering the UFC. She pretty much looks better in every fight. She's in her athletic prime right now. And her opponent, Araujo, is super talented and has experience on her side. That's what makes this pick so hard, especially because Araujo has only really lost some of the best in her division. Ribas might have more power and a better gas tank, which is what I think is going to ultimately get her the win. So I'm going with Ribas. This one was tough. It's pretty much a pick 'em, folks. I'll let you decide who you think has the edge in this one, but I'm going with Amanda Ribas, locking it in. Next, we have Derek Blonde Brunson against Dricus du Plessis. Derek Brunson, he's Blonde Brunson, baby. 23 wins, 8 losses, 39 years of age. Man, if I look that good at 39 years of age, whew, I am winning in life. 12 KO, TKO, 4 submissions, 7 decisions. Also fighting out of Killcliff FC alongside the likes of Ian Gary. He lost his last fight to Jared Cannonier, but honestly, folks, the first round of that fight, I would say he was winning. I would say that he was outworking Jared Cannonier in the grappling department and was actually piecing him up with some decent shots. However, as you know, he lost to brutal fashion, getting in the crucifix position, and the officials letting that fight go on for way too long as the elbows rained down from Jared Cannonier. However, before then, he beat Darren Till, Kevin Holland, Edmund Shabazian, and our boy, the pride of Canada, rest in peace. You are greatly missed, Elias Theodoro, who was an awesome fighter as well in the UFC. Look at some of the wins on his resume, folks. Lyoto Machida, Danielle Kelly as well. And if you see the losses, Israel Adesanya, Ronaldo Souza, Anderson Silva, Robert Whittaker. I mean, this guy was beating, you know, a prime Uriah Hall, a solid Sam Alvey at the time. Yes, at one point, Sam Alvey was a good fighter, folks. But again, look at the losses that he has. He's only lost to solid opponents. Kendall Grove when he was in his prime. Ronaldo Souza, Yoel Romero. Blonde Brunson has been with the UFC since 2012, ladies and gentlemen. That is insane. And there were talks that he was going to retire after the Cannonier fight. Hell, he just made it known that he wants this to be his most active year. He wants 4 fights this year, just shy of 40 years old. But he has a great challenge ahead of him, and that is the South African Dricus du Plessis. 18 wins, 2 losses. He's 29 years of age. 7 KO, TKO, 10 submission, 1 decision. He beat Darren Till in his last fight. What an exciting fight that was. And he's currently on a 6-fight win streak, beating some solid opponents. Trevin Giles, Brad Tavares, to name a couple. And he came out of KSW, folks. KSW is a tremendous promotion. One of my favorites to do fight companions for and watch as a fan. Before then was fighting in the South African League EFC, but what's awesome about him is he dominated that league, leveled up, went to KSW, beat Roberto Soljic, went 1-1 with him. Roberto Soljic being the pride now of one championship, one of the biggest MMA free agents that the UFC actually couldn't sign. Again, what a fight he put on against Darren Till back in December. Oh boy, oh boy. This one was tough too. I mean, this fight card is so good. I don't want to pick against anybody in these tough ones because I just want to sit back and enjoy it as a fan. But for this one, I'm giving Dricus du Plessis the edge. Dricus is such a good grappler. Now, I know that is Derek Brunson's game. He is an elite wrestler. He is an elite grappler. But I think Dricus du Plessis, his grappling is very underrated. And I don't think he'll dominate Brunson in the grappling, but I think he'll have enough defense in that particular area of mixed martial arts. Brunson, I don't want to say he's a shadow of what he used to be, but I'm sorry, he's not the 35-year-old Brunson anymore. He's almost at 40 years of age, and he's got a lot of miles on that body. He's coming off over a year He's coming back from over a year layoff due to injury. He was supposed to fight a few months ago, but still was not ready. So that is still something to take into account. However, he does look in tremendous shape, as we saw at the weigh-ins. The one thing about Brunson, how I think this fight is going to go down, he may very well dominate until he gets cracked, and du Plessis is a pretty good striker as well, and then I think he'll start shooting for desperation takedowns, and again, be desperate with the grappling rather than controlling of the octagon. He's a lot less aggressive on the feet than he used to be in his prime. Plessis is more competitive, and Brunson could gas under the pressure that du Plessis puts. Now, du Plessis starts the first round guns a-blazing, and yes, he slows down a little bit as well, as we saw in the Darren Till fight, but if he can really put it on Brunson in the first round, I think he might even finish his first round, early second round, depending on how good Derek Brunson's gas tank is at this point in his career. He's 10 years younger than Brunson. He fights at a crazy pace. He's an all-around good fighter, and his grappling and defense, as far as the grappling goes, is very underrated. This one was tough. I think Brunson being a plus 200 is a slap in the face to blonde Brunson. I understand that he's getting older. I think the line should be a little bit tighter as far as the betting odds go, but regardless, I'm going with the South African, Dricus du Plessis. The South Africans on this card are going 2 for 2, baby, locking it in. Next, we have Cody Garbrandt against Trevin Jones. Cody No Love Garbrandt, 31 years of age, 12 wins, 5 losses, 10 KO TKO, 0 submission, 2 decision. That's right, he's a brawler, ladies and gentlemen. He's a brawler out of Team Alpha Male. He is back at 135 pounds. And it hasn't looked too good for Cody Garbrandt as of late, folks. I won't dive into it too much. You guys are all MMA fans. You all know the story. He lost to Kai Kara-France. He lost to Rob Font. He beats an aging Rafael Assunção before then was on a 3-fight losing streak as well. Now look, back in 2016, he put on one of the best performances I have ever seen in a title fight. Yeah, he didn't finish Dominic Cruz, but he destroyed him. Anderson Silva, no, Neal from the Matrix-esque performance against Dominic Cruz and avenged all of the fighters that Dominic defeated from Team Alpha Male. He looked good in his first TJ Dillashaw fight before getting cranked in the second round. The rematch didn't go his way. And as you can see here, folks, in his last losses against TJ twice, against Pedro Munoz, against Rob, or I guess not against Rob Font, but against Kai Kara-France as well, he has been knocked out every single time. It's concerning. Let's see if he can get back in the win column against seemingly a layup. You tell me, against Trevin Jones. 5-star Trevin Jones out of Guam. 13 wins, 9 losses. He's 32 years of age. 3 KO TKO, 4 submissions, 6 decision, 1 no contest. So a very balanced fighter to say the least. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, losing to one of the Bashrap brothers as well, and losing his last fight against Ronnie Barcelos back in October of 2022. He got a win against Mario Bautista, and actually was on a 3-fight win streak before his fight in August of 2021, but he has not won since 2021, looking to get back in the win column against Cody No Love Garbrandt. Oh man, I don't want to pick against Garbrandt because I want him to win. Oh, I want him to win so bad, and I want him to ride into the sunset. Like, if he wins this fight, like, win or lose, Cody, hang it up, brother. Hang it up. You got nothing more to prove to the sport. At your peak, you were unbelievable. What goes up always must come down, and I don't want to see Cody take any more damage to his brain. If he gets knocked out in this one, it's over for him. However, I think he gets it done. I truly think that the UFC is giving him a little bit of a layup, and I don't want to say that disrespecting Trevin Jones, but let's be honest, folks, he's nothing special. Despite his chin, Jones doesn't TKO his opponents. Now, he's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter, but he only has 1 TKO. Jones is scary because he doesn't get KO'd either, and that is Cody No Love's power, but Cody No Love has knockout power. That's what helped him rise to that title shot against Dominic Cruz. Will he be able to knock out Jones? I don't know. But again, Jones doesn't really have that knockout power either. So it's a good matchup for both of them at this stage in their career. I do think Cody Garbrandt, chin aside, is the far more talented fighter. It's tough. It's hard to trust Cody, but again, it looks like the UFC wants to see Cody get back in the win column. The UFC wants to see Cody end his career without his legacy being tarnished due to, well, his chin going full Chuck Liddell. Oh, this is probably going to bite me in the ass, but I'm going with no love Cody Garbrandt. Lock it in. Let's go, baby. We're rooting for you, Cody. On to the main card now, folks. Bo Nickal against Jamie Pickett. The absolute wrestling phenom from Penn State, the two-time winner on Dana White's Contender Series, Bo Nickal. He's 27 years old. 3 wins, 0 losses, 1 KO, TKO, 2 submissions. There's not much to go over here, folks. In Icon fighting, in his first ever MMA fight, he knocked the out of his opponent, John Nolan, and then had 2 quick submissions, both so early in his fight, where he's able to knock down his opponent and quickly get a submission or just go right for the takedown and just maul them. He is so talented. He is the USA version of Chimaev. His opponent, Jamie Pickett, the Night Wolf, 13-8, being gifted a pay-per-view spot a la Bo Nickal. 34 years of age, 9 KO, TKO, 0 submission, 4 decision. Jamie Pickett likes to knock out his opponent, and he's also a Dana White Contender Series alumni. But unlike Bo Nickal, unlike the UFC showing off Bo Nickal, putting him back on the final episode of last season to get ratings when he probably could have earned a contract based on his performance, it took Jamie Pickett a few times before he got a contract. 3 times, to be exact, from the UFC. Fought in LFC, NLFC. I don't know any of those promotions other than LFC. These aren't the best guys. And he lost to freaking Kyle Dawkins and Dennis Tiululin. I mean, come on, folks. Come on. Is anybody giving Jamie Pickett a chance? Is anybody giving Jamie Pickett a chance? I surely am not. Bo Nickal is my pick, man. He's literally the ginger version of Khamzat Chimaev. An absolute talent. One of the better prospects the UFC has seen in a long time. Like, Paddy Pimblett, get the out of here, bro. You ain't no hype prospect. Bo Nickal is the real deal. He's gonna smother Pickett. He has a great chin. He's still young. He hasn't been hit in the face at all. Pickett does not have any good or crazy wins. Let's be honest. He's athletic, but so is Bo Nickal. Bo is gonna go full Chimaev on Pickett. Pickett's not even that great of a grappler. I mean, I don't know what else to say. This will be the biggest upset on the card if Pickett, like, knocks out Bo Nickal on his entry, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm picking Bo Nickal. Let's go, baby. Speaking of grappling, Mateusz Gamrot against Jalin Turner. Mateusz Gamrot, 21 wins, 2 losses, 32 years of age, 7 KO, TKO, 5 submission, 9 decision, 1 no contest. He's training out of American Top Team. The Polish fighter, legendary Polish power, has only lost twice. And both those losses were in the UFC, and one was his last fight against Beneil Dariush. In my opinion, he should be the next title contender at lightweight. The UFC hates him. They don't like him at all, and they're throwing him to the wolves, and they continue to throw him to the wolves time and time again, but that's a topic for another video. You guys know my feelings on that. We won't get into it here. Close win against Arman Tsarukyan, and before them was on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC. He was an absolute phenom in KSW, just ripping through everyone. And again, folks, KSW is an amazing promotion. Before KSW, he had some time in XFS and even got a win in Cage Warriors FC. So his 21 wins are not padded, folks. Mateusz Gamrot is a gamer. Mateusz Gamrot is the real deal. But so is his opponent, Jalin the Tarantula Turner. 13 wins, 5 losses. He's 27 years of age, 9 KO, TKO, 4 submissions, 0 decisions. He's currently riding a 5-fight win streak in the UFC. He lost to Matt Frivola before going on that win streak, dismantling Brad Riddell, dominating Jamie Mullarkey, as well as submitting his 2 opponents before that. Jalin Turner is a fun fighter, folks. And look, he lost to Vicente Luque. No shame in that. Matt Frivola, you guys know how much we love Steamroller Frivola on this show. But again, I think Matt Frivola gets too much flack. I think he's a dominant and a solid fighter. So no shame in those losses as well. Great fighter, has only gotten better, and he's looking damn good in the UFC right now. Despite taking this fight on relatively short notice, I'm going with Mateusz Gamrot. Look, I love Jalin Turner. I just think Gamrot he's better in all areas. He's more well-rounded. Jalin Turner is an excellent striker, and yeah, he's got a ground game. He's been able to submit guys in the UFC, but Mateusz Gamrot is one of the best grapplers in this division. You know, he beat Ciryl, again, a close fight. I had Ciryl winning that fight, but still, that was a back and forth, absolute crazy grappling match. And even, you know, Beneil Dariush, who's on just another level. I think Beneil Dariush could be champion in the lightweight division, so no shame in that loss at all for Mateusz Gamrot. He is an elite grappler, and he has good hands as well. Whether he wants to stand with Jalin Turner or take it to the ground, I think he has a good chance of winning this. Obviously, Jalin Turner, taller, lankier, just a bigger guy. He cuts a lot of weight for the division. Turner's awesome, but not the best grappler, like I said. The pace will be relentless from Gamrot, so let's see how good of a gas tank Jalin Turner has. If Gamrot keeps wrestling, continues to put the pressure on Turner, like I said, Turner might gas out. It's going to be a tough fight for both of these guys, but I think Gamrot, like I said, is a little bit more well-rounded. Turner is also used to beating strikers predominantly, especially those guys that he submitted. He also prepared for a striker, as it was supposed to be Dan Hooker in this fight. Gamrot replacing Dan Hooker, who had a hand injury. Because of that, I'm going with Mateusz Gamrot. He's going to get back into the win column, but no disrespect to Jalin Turner, and I do think he bounces back in his next fight in a more favorable matchup. Mateusz Gamrot locking it in. Next, we have Geoff Neal against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Geoff Neal, hands of steel, 32 years of age, 15 wins, 4 losses, 9 KO, TKO, 2 submissions, 4 decisions. It's important to note that Geoff Neal did miss weight by 4 pounds, so he will be forfeiting 30% of his purse to Rakhmonov, and now they're officially fighting at a catch weight of 175. He won his last fight against Vicente Luque, which is an awesome fight to win. He also beat Santiago Ponzinibbio via split decision. He did lose to Neil Magny and Stephen Thompson before then, so I mean, if you're on the rise, those are 2 fights that you really need to win. Again, no disrespect to Thompson and Magny, but again, there's levels to this game, and you have to surpass those levels to get into that title contention. But before then, absolutely dominant in the UFC. Mike Perry, Nico Price, Bilal Muhammad, that one aged well. And he came into the UFC via Dana White's Contender Series. It's funny, he lost to Kevin Holland in Extreme Knockout 34. Solid fighter, but he has a hell of an opponent in Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now, we talked about Bo Nickal being one of the better prospects in the UFC. If Shavkat Rakhmonov gets past Geoff Neal, he's no longer a prospect. He is a contender. 28 years of age, 16 wins, 0 losses. 16 wins, 0 freaking losses, folks. 8 KO, TKO, 8 submissions, 0 decision. You know what that means? He has only finished his opponents. I repeat, he has only finished his opponents. That is absolutely incredible. Also, Lorosenko has a crush on him. Oh my God. He dismantled Neil Magny. He dismantled Carlston Harris. And folks, if you haven't already, go back and watch some of his fights in the UFC. He's an absolute joy to watch. He's fought in good promotions as well, M1 to be exact, so it's not like he was crushing cans on his way up. Especially because there's been weight issues, I'm going with Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now look, no disrespect to Geoff Neal. He's been streaky. When he's on though, he's on. Shavkat is so dangerous though in all areas, and he puts on elite pressure. He's a good grappler, and he's a very, very good striker. Shavkat just cannot try to scrap with Neal in the pocket. If he allows Neal to get in the pocket, or if he gets a little too confident on his feet and gets a little bit too close and wants to have a boxing match or a brawl, that's where Geoff Neal will get the better of him. So if Shavkat continues to pick him apart at range, which he has great kicks, he does have good attacks, and has proven that he can fight at range. If he fights at range and or grapples, I think this should be a walk in the park for him. Again, no disrespect to Geoff Neal. Geoff Neal is a great fighter. Shavkat Rakhmonov is just something special right now. If Neal can bait him in the pocket though, And again, Rakhmonov gets a little too comfortable or a little cocky. That's going to be his demise. I truly think, though, Shavkat Rakhmonov is just going to smother him, maybe in the clinch, and utilizes that avenue to take Geoff Neal down rather than just going for double leg or single leg, which will make him prone to some counterattacks from Geoff Neal. He has unique striking, and I just think he's the better fighter. Also, Neal was injured recently, and again, he missed weight. I mean, all signs point to a dominant victory from Shavkat Rakhmonov. And one more win away from a title shot after that, we shall see. Next, we're going to the co-main event of the evening, and it is a title fight, folks. Valentina Shevchenko against Alexa Grasso. Valentina, the Bullet Shevchenko. Oh my God, she is so beautiful. 34 years of age, 23 wins, 3 losses, 8 KO, TKO, 7 submissions, 8 decisions, training at a Tiger Muay Thai and pretty much everywhere in the world as she bounces around all sorts of training camps with her team. Longest women's title defense in UFC history. Look, Taila Santos gave her everything that she could handle, but she still came out with the victory. She dismantled Lauren Murphy. She beat Jessica Andrade at her own game, beat Jennifer Maia, Caitlin Jukazian, Liz Carmouche, Jessica Ai, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, where she took the belt from, before then beat Priscilla Cachoeira. Her only 2 losses in the UFC are to the queen herself, Amanda Nunes. She's beat Juliana Pena, Holly Holm as well. I mean, look at the names that she's beaten in the UFC. Before then, has fought in FFC, LFC. I mean, do we even really need to look at her fights before then? Yeah, maybe not the best promotions in mixed martial arts, but she was an absolute Muay Thai destroyer before then. She's so fun to watch. Her technique is unbelievable. I would argue some of the best technique we've ever seen from a woman in the UFC. Her opponent, Alexa Grasso, 29 years of age, 15 wins, 3 losses, 4 KO, TKO, 1 submission, 10 decision. And that's the thing here, folks. Alexa Grasso is a boxer. She is a boxer by trade, and she only has 10 decisions. Now, I know it's women's MMA. I know they're in the 125 division, but still, you would think if you want to take down the queen of this division, Valentina Shevchenko, that you got to have some knockout power to your game. She's on a 4-fight win streak. She beat Araujo, she beat Joanna Wood, she beat Macy Barber, and Ji Young Kim. But again, boxing is her strength. She's got some solid wins on her record, and her latest 2 losses back in 2018 and 2019 were to a Carla Esparza on the rise, who eventually, won the UFC title, and to a surging prospect, Tatiana Suarez. So no shame in those at all. Look, she's a solid fighter in the division. Hell, she's one of the best fighters in the division. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Look, I know Mexico wants another champion, and I love the Mexican fans, and I would love nothing more to see you guys have another champion, but I do not think it's going to be on Saturday night. Valentina is just too good. She's a better striker all around. Like, if she wants to box with Grasso, this isn't boxing. This is mixed martial arts. Valentina's going to utilize her Muay Thai, her kickboxing, and it's going to be on another level, something that Alexa Grasso has not faced before. Now, if Alexa Grasso wants to grapple, Valentina Shevchenko is a better grappler than her. I swear, she's a better grappler than her. We've seen it against other women, like a Jessica Andrade, for example. I don't think it's going to be an easy fight, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as hard as a Taila Santos. Valentina seems dialed. Unbelievable Muay Thai. Again, Grasso can box, but she ain't a crazy good grappler. Grasso has power, but not enough to knock out her opponents. Valentina's kickboxing, Muay Thai, it's on another level, folks, and she will make it so tough for Alexa Grasso. And Valentina, like I said, is arguably better on the ground. She's more complete overall. I think she gets another title defense. I'm going with the queen of the 125 division, Valentina Shevchenko.
It's time!
Now to the main event of the evening. Jon Bones Jones moving up to heavyweight to face Ciryl Gane. Jon Bones Jones making his return after 3 years away from the sport and fighting at light heavyweight. Before that, he was the king of light heavyweight. Before that, 26 wins, 1 loss. He's 35 years of age, 10 KO TKO, 6 submissions, 10 decisions, 1 no contest. Look, his last fight, arguably a loss against Dominic Reyes. I'll be the first to say it. A tough fight against Thiago Santos, but he made easy work of Anthony Smith. He made easy work of Gustafsson in their second fight. Ovince St. Preux in his prime, he was a better OSP at that time, really did give him a tough time, but look at the names that Jon Jones has beaten, ladies and gentlemen. The best of the best. The best of the best, and he's been doing it since he was so young. It's absolutely insane. I mean, he lost to Matt Hamill due to disqualification, but you know that one should count as a win. He should be undefeated overall. Look at this, guys. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable the amount of guys that Jon Jones has beaten in his career. Take the roids allegations out of the picture for a bit and just take a moment to appreciate greatness here. His opponent, Bon Gamin Ciryl Gane, out of Paris, France. 11 wins, 1 loss, 32 years of age, 5 KO TKO, 3 submissions, 3 decisions. He won his last fight against Tai Tuivasa, which was a very competitive fight in my opinion. His only losses to Francis Ngannou via unanimous decision. There's an argument that he won that fight as it was a very close fight in my opinion. And look at the names that he's dismantled in the UFC. Derek Lewis, Volkov, Rosenstrike, Junior Dos Santos, Tanner Boser, Dontel Mays. I mean, he's looked good and he's leveled up in every single one of his fights. He is a very decorated Muay Thai fighter with actually some 6 submissions in his back pocket. Is he the new generation of heavyweight? Is he going to give Jon Jones all he can take in this fight? Folks, when I put my list together, I originally had Jon Jones as my pick for this one. Upon watching MMA On Point breaking some stuff down, upon listening to the MMA Guru, upon watching Jon Jones on Embedded, Countdown, just this whole fight week, I've changed my tune. I've changed my tune. I'm going with the underdog, Ciryl Gane. Look, this one's gonna be fucking close, ladies and gentlemen. Jones may be past his prime, and I do think if he employs a good mix of his tools, a mixed martial arts package, that he should get the better of Ciryl Gane. But again, there's a big question mark because we've never seen him at heavyweight. Is he going to move as quick? Is his body just getting older, labored from such a long and tremendous career, and also maybe from some substances? It could be. It very well could be, because you look at Ciryl Gane, he doesn't look a day over 25, man. The guy is ripped in unbelievable shape and a natural heavyweight. Ciryl Gane moves so eloquently, so cerebral, so crisp and clean for a heavyweight as well. And everyone's saying, I know, if it stays on the feet, Ciryl Gane will win this one. Ciryl Gane is good at getting back up to his feet. Is his takedown defense anything special? No. But as we've seen in some of his fights in the UFC, he butt scoots real quick back to the cage and can get back up with ease. Jon Jones, as we saw in his last fight against Dominic Reyes at 205, had such a hard time taking Reyes down, and as soon as he did, Reyes got back up to his feet as well. So I don't want to keep hearing this argument that, oh, Jon Jones is going to just out-wrestle him. Yeah, maybe at 205, he could out-wrestle some of his opponents, but he couldn't against Dominic Reyes, and I think it's going to be a lot harder than we think. Ciryl Gane's camp has admitted they didn't even prep for wrestling against Francis Ngannou because they didn't think that's where the fight was going to be. Gane is good, his Muay Thai is awesome, and he could pick Jones apart at range. Yes, someone else could pick Jon Jones apart at range because his reach is only an inch or only 2-3 inches less than Jon Jones. Jon Jones' biggest gift is that he has like an 84-inch reach advantage. I'm pretty sure Ciryl Gane is like 81.5, something in that range. Look, I know, like I just said, his takedown defense is meh, but he's so good at getting back up to his feet. If this stays mostly on the feet, I do think Ciryl Gane will get it done. He does have finishing power. We saw what he did to a Tai Tuivasa, so no one can say he doesn't have finishing power, okay? And Gane was only ever rocked by the hard-hitting Tai Tuivasa. Let's be honest, he's never really been rocked by anyone before, and has Jones really rocked anybody with just a straight punch with boxing? No, Jones isn't even the best pure boxer. He's good at putting everything together, and he's really, really good at employing clinch work. Now, if he gets Ciryl Gane in the clinch, I mean, those lanky elbows, again, they're going to find their target, don't get me wrong, but Ciryl Gane is used to clinch work because of his Muay Thai background. Jon Jones, no steroids, not young anymore, but if he has the same speed and pace as he did as a light heavyweight, it's going to be a tough fight for Ciryl Gane. Again, I originally had Jon Jones winning this one. I've changed my pick. I'm going with the underdog. I'm going with Ciryl Gane. Lock it in. That's it for the prediction video, folks, for UFC 285. Like and subscribe, and I will see you on the live stream.